All right, it's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Western Wednesdays. My name is Billy Clayton. I'm the Scholarships Enrollment Officer for the Army ROTC program here at Western Michigan University. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I came into the military back in 1993. I took my very first college course at Kansas State University in 1994. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in 2011. That's how long it took me to do a 4-year degree because the Army just kind of gets in the way. I took the enlisted route. So I came in as a private and worked my way up to the ranks. Between moving from duty station to duty station, being deployed, married, family, kid, all that stuff, education kind of went into the back burner. But if education is something that's important to you and you have the propensity to want to serve in the military, ROTC is actually a perfect marriage because we put education first, service second. Because in order to be an Army officer, you have to have a bachelor's degree. That's primary things that has to happen for you to be an officer. So education first, service second. There are 3 major ROTC paths. There's the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy. If you're wanting to be an officer in the Marine Corps, you would need to go through the Navy's ROTC program. The Army is the only program that will allow you to either compete for active duty or commission directly into the National Guard or the Army Reserves. And the reason why that might be something that you could consider is, let's say you come to Western and you go into a program and you have a wonderful summer internship somewhere. And you're like, wow, I love this company. And this company's like, you know what? We love you back. We want you to actually start here the second you get a degree. Well, ROTC is not going to stop you from that. You can actually commission into the National Guard or the Army Reserve and let the Army be your part-time work as you go about your full-time civilian career. So you do have more options on what you want your career to look like after college with an Army ROTC program. You can try ROTC with no commitment. And so the way it works is that you would sign up for us for your first freshman semester. And if you like us, you just sign up for it again. You sign up for it like you would sign up for any other class. If you don't like us, you just don't sign up for the next class. It's that simple. And you can try us with no commitment up until the first semester of your junior year. So you can actually do 2 years of ROTC without any commitment to the military at all. You're free to leave at the end of any semester.
Yeah.
There is no basic training requirement for an ROTC program. So we are your basic training. So the 4 years that you spend in college, you'll take 1 ROTC class every semester. And the stuff that you learn will not only fulfill your basic training requirement, but it will also cover your officership requirement as well. So the Department of the Army comes down and says, these are all the things every officer needs to learn in order to be an Army officer. So the same thing that you're learning to be an Army officer at Western's ROTC program is the same stuff they have to learn at West Point. Is the same stuff they have to learn at Harvard's ROTC program. It's all the same. The difference is that you get to have it at Western Michigan University in an actual college environment. If you actually went to like one of the academies, if you went to West Point, then you're pretty much locked down Army all day, every day. Here you can actually be a college student. You can be a member of one of the over 200 registered student organizations that are here. You could be in a fraternity or a sorority and still do ROTC. You actually still get to have a typical college life. So what I want to cover next is kind of what your commitment's going to look like while in ROTC. So we do physical training Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 6:30 to 7:30 in the morning. Those will be led by the juniors in the class. You'll have one class and one lab a week. So your classes as a freshman would consist of the things that you would have learned if you would have went to basic training. So Army values, the warrior ethos, the Army leadership model, drill and ceremony, customs and courtesies, time management, organizational skills, just those things that you would have learned if you went to basic training. Leadership lab is where we do all the soldier skills. So that's where you learn land navigation, basic rifle marksmanship, squad level tactics, platoon level movements. All that stuff happens during the leadership lab. So you'll have one class and one lab a week. Once a semester, we'll do a field training exercise. So for the field training exercise, that's where we take a leadership lab, pretty much just pump it full of steroids and throw it out in the woods somewhere. So on campus, during your labs, we'll teach you how to read a map. We'll teach you how to use a compass. Out of the field training exercises, that's where you'll actually conduct a land navigation course. On campus, we'll show you how to assemble and disassemble a weapon. We'll talk about trigger squeeze, steady aim, sight picture. But out at the field training exercise, you'll actually conduct the rifle range. So that's the difference between lab and field training.
Got it.
Training once a semester. Between your junior and senior year of college, you'll go down to Fort Knox, Kentucky for advanced camp. And advanced camp is like your ROTC capstone. It's where they take all the stuff that you've learned so far and you get evaluated over it, scored on it, and it helps in determining what job you get in the military. So once you come back from advanced camp, you'll be a senior. As a senior, you're the officers of the battalion, and your job is to make all the plans and provide the resources to the juniors who teach the leadership lab to the freshmen and the sophomores. And you'll see how this progresses as you make your way through the program. So PT 3 days a week, physical fitness, physical training 3 days a week, class and lab 1 day a week, field training once a semester, and between your junior and senior year advanced camp. Those are the mandatories. Anything else that you want to do in relationship to ROTC is voluntary. And we do have some voluntary opportunities. We do have a study abroad program. So if you are actually trying to learn a second language at Western, then we actually have a study abroad program where during the summer you would go to do an immersive language program somewhere in the world. We also have the ability to send you to airborne school, air assault school. We've sent somebody to combat diver school and to sapper school, which is the engineer's version of ranger school. There are a lot of opportunities during the summer if it's something that you're looking into. And we also have our own registered student organizations in ROTC. We have we have a color guard, we have a rifle team, we have a cannon crew that shoots the cannon off at the Western football games. We have a rut club that does the baton death march every year, and we have a run club that does the Army 10 miler every year. We have a Ranger Challenge team that goes down to Fort Knox, Kentucky every year to compete with other ROTC battalions to see who's the best at tactics. So it just depends on how dirty and sweaty you want to get. We have a club for you. One of the things that ROTC can do for you is help you pay for college. So the majority of this presentation is going to cover what that looks like and how you can start the process. Now, if you are a junior, if you're finishing your junior year, going into your senior year, then it's now scholarship season for you, senior year of high school. So it's now scholarship season. So you are now putting in scholarships for next fall. No matter what scholarship it is, whether it's an active duty scholarship, National Guard, or Army Reserve, it all covers the same thing. It all pays the same thing. You have the 100% of your tuition, $20 a month as a living stipend is we call it ROTC pay, and you'll get $1,200 a year for books. So $600 in the fall and $600 in the spring. Now, the 100% of tuition is 100% of tuition and all associated fees. The only fee that an ROTC scholarship will not cover is flight fees. And that's at any ROTC, Army, Navy, or Air Force. It does not cover flight fees, but we would cover fee associated. So the enrollment fee, any of the lab fees that would come with any of your other classes, all those mandatory fees would be covered with the 100% tuition and fees. It also has a cash option, what we call the cash option. So let's say you're actually coming to Western with a bunch of scholarships and your tuition is already paid. Well, you can have your ROTC scholarship be turned into the cash option for a semester, and you can do this every semester until you need it, until you need it to go back to pay tuition. But it's a $5,000 check every semester that would come to you into whatever bank account you tell us to put it into. It's called room and board, but it goes to you. It doesn't go to the school, and you can spend that money however you want. So you'll still get the $5,000. That's per semester. You would still get your $420 a month and your $1,200 a year for books. So those are the two options. You have the cash option and then the tuition option. And my job is to help you determine which option, compared with any other scholarships that you're bringing with you or any other benefits, that would provide you with the best payout. There's 3 deadlines for the scholarship every year, and I have a slide that'll show you guys what those deadlines are, the dates, and all that good stuff. So I'll get to that in a second. All right, so what makes you eligible for the scholarship? You have to have a minimum. These are the minimums. 2.5 GPA, and that GPA is at the end of your junior year. So your GPAs are locked. There's nothing else you can do about GPAs. If you don't have a 2.5 GPA, if you're below 2.5, you won't be able to get this specific scholarship. That doesn't mean your scholarship opportunities are closed. It's just you won't be able to get this one. And we can talk about what those look like later. So 2.5 GPA, you have to have an ACT of 19 or an SAT of 1,000. I know you probably haven't had an opportunity to get one in. In a couple slides, I'm actually going to have dates of when those next national tests are. And so you still have an opportunity to get those tests in and get those done. U.S. citizen, it can't be a green card holder. You have to be a naturalized citizen. Medical examination, you just need to be you have to be medically qualified. You have to be able to pass a physical fitness test when you get here. Under 31 by the time you graduate with your bachelor's degree, no civil convictions. And of course, this is an officer producing program, so you will need to be able to serve as an officer in the U.S. Army. So I want to talk to you about what's going to make you competitive for the scholarship. We look for 3 things: scholar, athlete, and leader. So the first thing is scholar. What was your scholastic achievement in school? ACT, SAT scores are huge. If you're not like sitting at the 1150, 1200 area for your SAT, you might want to take it again. Of course, the better the score, the more points you get. But if you want to be competitive, everybody's coming to the party now with an 1150. So you've got to try harder. If you don't have an 1150, continue taking the SAT score. We super score the SATs. So we'll take your best score from every test, your best compartment or section from every test to make a super scored SAT. So as long as those tests keep cranking out a better score, your point value towards a scholarship will get higher. GPA, 3.3 or above will make you competitive. It doesn't mean that you can't put in a scholarship if you don't have a 3.3. It just makes you more competitive. I've seen people with less than a 3.3 get the scholarship. So don't let what makes you competitive versus are you eligible discourage you from applying. If you meet the primary eligibility requirements, go ahead and apply. How many honors classes did you take? How many AP classes have you taken? If you're at a school that has an international baccalaureate program, did you take IB courses? All those things count. The more courses, if you've taken a course, that counts. If you've taken multiple courses, that gives you more points. Were you in the National Honor Society? Where do you rank in your where do you rank in your class ranking? You know, are you in the top 50%? That gives you some points. If you're in the top 30, top 20%, that gives you even more points. All those things add up. So how successful were you in school? That's the scholastic achievement part. Now, what the rest of this is how busy were you and was still able to maintain that high level of a scholastic achievement. So as an athlete, were you in any competitive athletics? And this is either on campus, in school, or in the community. So it doesn't have to be, it could be a travel team. It can be any competitive athletic sport, as long as you're able to show that it was a competitive sport. So being in a sport counts. Being in multiple sports counts even more. The size of the team is actually taken into consideration. How competitive the league is actually taken into consideration. There's all these algorithms and factors out there that they use to compare programs. So those things count. Then you'll also have to take what's called the Presidential Physical Fitness Test. 1 minute of sit-ups, 1 minute of curl-ups, and 1 mile run. It's pretty simple. The faster you run, the bigger your score. The more sit-up, the more curl-ups, the more push-ups, the better your score. That can be performed, that can be graded by any local coach at your high school. If you are not in a high school, let's say you're homeschooled, you can actually get it done by somebody at your local ROTC battalion. That would be where I want to go. Or if you could actually talk to somebody at the local school that would be willing to do it for you, you can have one done at the local high school there. If you cannot find anybody to give you the test, I'm more than happy to help you find somebody. If you're not local to Western, I can try to find somebody in your area that will be more than happy to give you the test. All right, leadership potential. So you were in all these competitive athletics. Were you a captain? Were you a co-captain? Were you a section leader in band? Were you on any of the student council? Were you in any clubs that you were in a leadership position in a club? Again, in school and in the community. So Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, were you a youth leader at church? All those different things happen. All those different things count. Don't sell yourself short in this particular category. Put anything down that you might think count, and then let somebody else on our side decide if it doesn't count or not. I would rather you put more stuff down and us say, no, that doesn't count, then you miss out on points because you didn't put something in because you didn't think it would count. So just as much as you can put in to this section for leadership potential, try to put it in there. All right, so the process, you start it's an online application. Once you have the online application done and you've met the primary eligibility requirements, it's going to say that your status is that you're eligible for the scholarship. Once you have submitted all your transcripts and your test scores, that's going to change your status to interviewee, which means that you can, at that point, you can conduct the interview. So you take the presidential fitness assessment, and then you conduct your interview, and that changes you to board ready. Once you're board ready, you are now ready to compete for the board. There's nothing else you need to do to your packet. Now there are things you can do. And we'll talk about that in a second. So, I guess we will do it now. So you can continue to update your ACT or SAT scores and your presidential physical fitness test all the way up until the last date that the documents are due. And that's not until March. So as you put in a test score, you don't think that test score is high enough, you want to try for it again, take the test again, send it up. If you did take the presidential fitness assessment and you don't score as well as you want to, and you take it again and you score better, send it up. If you don't score better, don't send it up. It's not a big deal. But you can continue to update those test scores as often as you can. So if you have an ability to take your phone out, or do the swipe across the screen, however you're looking at this, and take a picture of this, these are the dates. So you've got the high school scholarship board will convene on the 19th of October, the 25th of January, and the 15th of March. The application season is open now until the 4th of February. If you have not started your application by the 4th of February, you will not be able to compete for this scholarship. You have to have your documents in by the 4th of March. That is the last time that will take a document for this scholarship. So let's talk about the 3 board dates. So if you get all of your stuff in by the 19th of October and you're board ready by 19 October, you will compete for the 19 October board. Now that very first board is highly selective. We're talking, the 4.0s, the 13 to 1400 SAT scores, the ones that are not, the ones that they're like, okay, these are definite, the top of the pile. So don't get discouraged if you don't get if you don't get a reply back from the 19 October board. But what you will be able to do then, if you have your paperwork in for 19 October, that doesn't mean it's over. You just move and you're into the pack that gets looked at on the 25th of January. If you don't get picked for the 25th of January, you're now in the pack that gets looked at on 15 March. So you get 3 opportunities to get looked at instead of just waiting until the very last one and only having that one chance. Because what can happen between 19 October and 15 March is you can retake the SAT, you can take the ACT, you can retake your presidential physical fitness test, and keep increasing your scores. Grades are grades. They're set. There's nothing more you can do about your grade, but you can always continue to increase your test score and your physical fitness assessment all the way up until the document deadline of 4 March. And then if you look on the right side of the screen, you'll see the national test dates. So if you want to be ready for the October board, that's when you can take the SAT. Those are when the ACT tests are. Notice for the March board, the only thing that you're able to take is the ACT. So if you don't take the SAT by 5 December, you're not going to have an SAT score for the March board. So just make sure you're paying attention when you look at these dates. All right, so the scholarship can give you a 4-year, 100% tuition paid scholarship, but it also has another function where it gives 3-year scholarships. And to be honest, they give out more 3 years than 4 years, just because they decrease the amount of 4 years so they can get out more 3 years. So we're giving out more scholarships overall, but not every scholarship is a 4-year scholarship. So this is what a 3-year advanced designee scholarship means. It means that the Army will cover the last 3 years. So it'll be your sophomore, junior, and senior year that is covered by the ROTC scholarship. The scholarship will start the first semester of your sophomore year, as long as you've met all the scholarship eligibility criteria, which means you're medically fit, you're able to pass the physical fitness test, you have above a 2.5 GPA. All that stuff still means something. You still have to have that in place for your scholarship to start. You must enroll into the ROTC program as a freshman. And then that first year of school will be up to you to pay for if you were going at any other institution. So you have a 4-year scholarship, and then you have what we call the 3-year AD or 3-year advanced designee scholarship. The majority of people who get a scholarship is going to get a 3-year AD. Now, one of the benefits about coming to Western Michigan University is that we have what's called the ROTC First Scholarship. So it actually takes your 3-year AD scholarship and turns it into a 4-year. So Western Michigan University will pay for your freshman year of college, and then the Army or ROTC will pick up your sophomore, junior, and senior year. Now, what that means is that Western will cover for your freshman year your cost of tuition. The $420 ROTC pay every month, and then the book stipend is part of the ROTC scholarship, not the Western scholarship, but at least your tuition, which is around $14,000, will be paid. Another benefit of coming to ROTC is if you're on any type of ROTC scholarship, you receive what's called the ROTC housing grant, and that's $3,000 towards room and board. So what happens is in the fall and in the spring, $1,500 just magically appears into your student account as long as you're staying at a Western property. So if you're staying in Western dorms, in Western apartments, in Western housing, whatever that looks like, as long as it's a Western property, you will receive the ROTC housing grant. And that comes automatically with any award, whether it's a 4-year, a 3-year, a 2-year, whatever ROTC scholarship you get, this comes with it as well. All right, so before I open it up for questions, I just want to let you know if there is a couple of ways. There's a way that we're doing right now. If you want to discover if ROTC is for you, we're actually having an ROTC leadership camp from 3 to 5 August. As of right now, we'll see. But right now we're doing one from the 3rd to the 5th of August. You can register, or you can look at the agenda as well as pre-register for the camp at wmich.edu/ROTC/camp. It's 3 days of events. We'll do a little bit of stuff on campus, but we'll be spending most of our time out at Fort Custer, out of the National Guard base out of Fort Custer. It'll be a great opportunity to get a good crash course in what ROTC is. The summer camp is open for anyone age 16 and above. So as long as you are above 16 years of age, even if you're not a senior in high school, going into being a senior in high school this year, you're still able to come out and take part in the leadership camp. Outside of that, we'll be doing something called Rappel Day. We'll be doing that in late September. It's where we open up the rappel tower and anybody can come out to rappel. I know that only works if you're kind of local to Western, but if you're not local to Western, the leadership camp is actually something that would probably be of benefit to you. The camp is open to students from Puerto Rico. The whole thing is that you just have to get here. And that's the thing. I mean, if you can get to Michigan for the summer camp, you're definitely more than welcome to participate. We don't have a way to pay for travel for you to get here. So it's something that you would have to kind of fund on your own. But once you get here, housing, food, all that stuff, it's a $30 fee. $30 is pretty much covering cost of food. Everything else we will cover for you. So housing and then transportation once you get here on the 3rd. We'll cover all the transportation to and from all the events. The food, the $30 is for food, and then you'll get you'll be put in different leadership positions, and you'll receive leadership evaluations. Will be part of the stuff that we'll owe you when you leave. So as a freshman, we kind of see you guys as the followers, because we need to see how well you can follow, because you can't be a good leader unless you're a good follower. As a sophomore is where we'll actually start putting you into actual leadership positions. You could be a team chief or a team leader, where we'll put a couple freshmen that you're in charge of. And this is where you get to start developing your leadership style, trying to figure out what type of leader you are. And actually a lot of the classes that you'll have in your sophomore year will focus on developing teams and figuring out what your leadership style is. As a junior, you guys are the non-commissioned officers or the sergeants of the battalion. You're going to rotate through a bunch of different leadership positions, from a squad leader where you're in charge of 7 or 8 people, up to a company first sergeant where you'll be in charge of 50 people. How you motivate 8 is a little different than how you motivate 50, but you get to actually figure out how you're going to do that in a classroom environment. So if you do make a mistake, it's just a lesson learned. We find out the problem, we sit and we counsel you, you make the corrections, and you go on about it the next day. It's not a big deal. And then as I stated before, once you're a sophomore, you're the officers of the battalion. When you commission, so we are what's called Basic Leader Officer Course A, or Part 1. Once you commission, depending on what job you get, you will then go to that particular school to learn the job. So let's say that you wanted to be in the Signal Corps because you really like technology and computers and satellites. So you'll do ROTC with us. Once you commission, you will then go to Fort Gordon, Georgia, to the Signal School to learn how to be a signal officer. And that works for all the different jobs that are in the military. Once you complete that school, you will then go off to your specific, your first duty station, wherever that's going to be. If the only route that's different, the only route that's guaranteed job-wise is if you're a nurse. If you come to Western and to be a nurse, then you will be an Army nurse. That is the career path that's kind of set for you. You will go down to Fort Sam Houston, Texas for your school, and then you'll go off to your first Army hospital. So if you want to be a pilot, the Army has changed the way. Usually I would just say get good grades. But now it's a little different. You have to kind of look at what's your degree. So they want your degree to be related to the type of job. Now that doesn't mean you need to be in aviation flight science, although it would help. But you could also be aeronautical engineering. You could be aviation maintenance. You could be anywhere, anything in the aviation college. So the degree was one thing. And then the other thing is you have to have good grades. Aviation and infantry are the top 2 most sought after jobs coming out of ROTC. So it's going to be pretty competitive, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Because we do have a flight school here at Western, we have cadets, we have multiple cadets that go to be a pilot every year from the program. So if you're coming with GI Bill benefits, if you do get the ROTC scholarship, then that's when you would take the ROTC scholarship and turn it into the cash option. So you would use your post 9/11 to pay for school, and then you would actually take the ROTC money and just put that in your pocket. You also can, if you don't even need to, if you're coming with 100% of the GI Bill, you don't even actually need to compete for a scholarship. Once you contract with ROTC, which means you raise your hand and say you're going to actually do this thing, you're still going to get the ROTC pay of $420 a month, regardless if you're on scholarship or not. That's automatic ROTC pay once you contract. You're already going to get a book stipend from 9/11. You're going to get your tuition paid from 9/11. And then for 9/11, if you're going the aviation route, that'll actually pay for some of your flight fees. Their ROTC scholarship will not pay for your flight fees. So you actually get more money being on the post 9/11 GI Bill than you would if you were doing the ROTC scholarship. I think your living stipend is around $1,300 a month here. That's what the payment is for you guys. So you actually would make more money doing the GI Bill than the ROTC scholarship. But if you do apply for the ROTC scholarship and get it, then that's when you would change it to the cash function. You get an extra $5,000 every semester. And then Christian, we have what's called the Office of Military Veteran Affairs. at Western, and their sole job is to help you with making sure your GI Bill starts on time, making sure you get paid, all that stuff. So they'll support you in that aspect as well. So you'll have us at the ROTC office, but you'll also have a different department helping you as well to make sure that you're going to be successful. So Special Forces as officer is a different route. So the way it would work, you would want to be in it depends on what you want to do in the Special Forces. So the Special Forces has that infantry ground pounder, the person out there doing the work. They also have the medical side. They also have the signal side because they need the tech. So there's a lot of other things that come with Special Forces. It's difficult to be the operator. It's more difficult to be the operator than it is to be support. But if you're looking to be an operator, then what the route that you want to do is that you would want to commission in some type of a combat arms. And then when you go to that school that I talked to you guys about, the school about the job, but you have to perform well at that school. And what will happen is that there'll be two recruiting forces. There'll be people looking to see who wants to go to Ranger School, and then there'll be an opportunity to speak with a Special Forces recruiter. You have to go through. If you speak with a Special Forces recruiter, you'll talk to them. You'll have to do some preliminary testing to see if they'll even let you into the school, and then you'll go. And if they say yes, you'll go to school. There's no direct route for an officer. You kind of have to. You can't just commission into the Special Forces. You have to have a job first, and then from that job, you can talk to a Special Forces recruiter. In the same way with Ranger. If anybody was thinking about Ranger, it's pretty much the same way. It was a pleasure talking to everybody. Thank you for taking your time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. When you go to that wmich.edu/ROTC, that's our website. At the bottom of the page, you'll see a directory, and you'll click on it, and you'll see my ugly mug, Billy Clayton, right there. Please feel free to call or email me with any other questions you might have. Regardless of what school you're trying to go to, during the scholarship process, you can pick up to 7 schools. If you feel comfortable with dealing with me, regardless if you're coming to Western or not, I am more than happy to help you with your scholarship process through your scholarship process if you have any questions. So if you guys have nothing else for me, I have nothing else for you. Have a very good evening, and thank you very much for coming.